been recording for almost 4 minutes now, trying to think about the words I was going to use to start this, and this is hard. This is really hard. I had a moment the other morning that rocked me so deeply that I was so sad yet so happy at the same time. So I'm going to start this by saying something that only a handful of people have heard me say, and I've talked to them about it in confidence. And the words that I'm going to say are really tough. And please note that I'm going to use past tense. I did not love my children. It took me a really long time to recognize that I didn't feel the way I needed to feel or wanted to feel as a father, and that I was being a terrible father. And I would say words and I would yell, and I was just so mean. And the moment that happened that made me so happy and so sad at the same time was in the middle of a workout the other morning. My daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, hollered for me as I started to go off on a run, and she wanted to hold my hand and run with me, and it was absolutely adorable. But then it hit me how I would have handled that same exact situation a year ago, 2 years ago, when I let other things be more important than them. And by no means am I saying that I'm perfect now, because I'm not. I still lose my temper. I still get upset. I still yell from time to time, not nearly as much as I used to. I definitely don't say the mean, hurtful things that I used to say. I can look back and think, how the hell does my son even look at me with respect with some of the words that have come out of my mouth talking to him when he wouldn't listen, or he was upset and he was crying and stuff like that. And I feel extremely guilty for those things, thinking about it now. I held a lot of resentment for my children. I was 23 years old when my son was born, and I know that parents are given their children at younger ages than that, but I was not ready. I entertained the thought of having a family, but I was not ready for all that came with. And it took a lot of practice of patience and a lot of the ability to recognize that my kids needed me to to love them more than I loved other things in my life. And I'll admit that some days it's still hard to make the decisions to recognize when they just need me for 5 minutes, and then when that 5 minutes is up, it's cool, I can go back to what I was doing. And if you know anything about me, when I get in the zone with something, that's where I am, and it's hard to pull me out of. And I get really focused from time to time, and I looked at my kids as a distraction, and it was not fair to them, and honestly it wasn't fair to me. I thought there was something wrong with me when I would see the way that other parents would act with their children and how much they love being a parent, and I really struggled to enjoy it at all. And it hasn't been until like just the last few months, honestly. And my son's 11 years old. It hasn't been until just the last few months where I've really begun to appreciate being a parent. So I guess this is just another one of those you're not alone messages. If you struggle to find joy in the lives of your children, you're not the only person that's going through that, because that was definitely me, and sometimes it still is. I find it really hard to relate to them sometimes, and I know they need me to. I'll pass along this message that I've definitely stolen from Gary Vaynerchuk, which is, it's our responsibility as a parent to fill our kids with self-esteem, appreciation, and gratitude. We need to teach them how to care, how to go above and beyond, make big deals about the smallest things. If your kid is doing the dishes and they don't get it done right, fix it yourself. Praise them for taking the time to do it. Next time, encourage them to do a little bit better of a job, politely. Do not belittle them for making a mistake. Then they won't want to do it anymore. They'll just think that they're going to make a mistake again. Encourage them. Praise them for doing it. Praise them for doing any little thing, especially when they do something right. Make sure you make big deals about your kids doing things right, because then they're going to want to keep trying to do new things. You wouldn't believe the amount of adults that I work with that are afraid to try to do new things just because they've been told they've done things wrong for so long, so many times. We can change this moving forward as parents. That's all I got.